Yeah, man. let's kill that bass head. Alright, let's do this.
I'm on the air, we got this pockets flow. It's me and Tony on the mics, we gotta let you know of current events, little gaming, sprinkle in some entertainment. We stay humble, but our moms still think we're famous. Turn up the bass and baby, maybe let that magic flow. Our spoken word is all the things you really wanna know. Having a good time on the show, T-Bows and Matty G. Tune in and hit subscribe and join us on the FAPs.
Welcome everyone to the podcast. I am your host Anthony Bowes, and this is an orange screen for some reason. There it is. I'm going to blame production on that one. As you can see today, Matty G is not next to us, which is a bit of a mysterious circumstance. So either he's running late, in which case we will all make fun of him, or we will be on our own. But that's okay because we have a very wonderful and exciting guest today. She is an actress. She's a director. She is a host of her own show, actually a couple of shows. She's got the Pandemic Cooking, which we're going to do a little talking about today. And we also she's also the host of If These Walls Could Talk, and that is her own podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Wendy Stuart Kaplan. How are you doing today?
I am so happy to be here today. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I know, like, we're next to each other on this screen, and I'm not Matty G. Is that okay for you?
That is fine for me. So, like I said, it's very strange because Matty's normally here, and I always miss his witty banter when he is away. So, yeah, I'll try not to be too down because we've got a lot of some fun things that we need to talk about today.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited.
And so I guess in the meantime, that does make you my official / the unofficial co-host today. So that's wonderful because you've got some experience in the business.
I do have experience in the business. I love being a co-host. I'm really so cool to be. I'm in Canada, and yet I'm in the corner of my couch in New York City. How cool is that?
You know, it's really funny because I feel like you actually have had more snow in New York City than we have.
Well, you know
which
why?
Is ironic.
You sent us that polar vortex. You sent it.
I know it.
Canada. I read all about it, and now it's blanketing the United States. However, to your point, yes, we have had more snow in New York than you guys have had in Canada. It's crazy this year, right? Oh my gosh, Matty!
It's truly is.
Hey,
and Matty G has arrived, and he is late as always.
Never, Matty G. I don't even know you, and it's our first time meeting, and you just pop up there like that.
Surprise!
It's like a bad date.
It is, right? That shows up late, and then doesn't pick up the check.
I always pick up the check.
Good to know that.
I'll remember that.
Well, thank you both.
By the way,
me
for coffee. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for being able to spend some time with us today. And Matty G, of course, is missing his regular introduction, but you know, we did tell everybody that if you showed up, Matty G, we were going to make fun of you. And unfortunately, it's like you've had a haircut, so I can't even bust you on your hair today. So
your hair is a really good haircut. Turn to the side a little bit. You have it. Oh yeah, that's great. So you have it high on the top and shaved on the sides. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really long. Like I just, that's why Tony was mentioning it, because my hair was like over 12 inches long, which is
it's the longest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good reason.
Matty G,
you were late. You were getting a haircut. There you go. Exactly.
That's what we'll give it to him. But that he doesn't get it. He's used his haircut excuse now. You don't get another one. Matty G, do you want to jump into our news today?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one's pretty good. I don't know if you touched on this or if you've read this, but it made me chuckle. So, Indonesian woman claims daughter fathered by blast of wind. Have you heard about this yet?
Please elaborate on this.
Yeah, so you have to. So a wild claim from a 25-year-old Indonesian woman who insists that her newborn daughter was fathered by a blast of wind, according according to the Times Now News in India. This gale force miracle begins after the mom finished shooting the breeze with a higher power. After an afternoon prayer, I was lying face down, and then suddenly I felt a gust of wind enter my vagina, quote unquote.
Wow.
15 minutes later, while in her living room, the lady said that she started to feel labor pains and went to the medical clinic. 60 minutes later, that gust of wind was said to have impregnated the woman, and she gave birth to a 6.4-pound baby girl. The clinic director speculated that she was already pregnant, but didn't realize it until her delivery. Local police were quick to draft some details of their own to circulate amongst the community. We don't want the matter to foster wild rumors among the public, a local police person said. So I thought that was pretty hilarious.
I have a question about this already. So if the gust of wind is the father, isn't he responsible for the child support payment?
I was wondering if they were going to have done sketch artists about like a cloud or something.
My kids think money grows on trees. Maybe you just blow it that way.
There you go.
So,
oh my God, Maddie, that has got to be one of the funniest articles I have heard in a long time. That I'm like, honestly, I have tears coming to the corner of my eyes as you're reading this.
Tonight I'm going to be laying in bed with Ashley. I'm going to be like, oh, you're pregnant now.
Oh my God. That is the funniest. Now, unfortunately,
my bonus report. That's great.
Thank you. That was a fun one.
Right? Oh my God. I mean, God forbid, we end up having those, crazy winds that we've had in the last few. All of a sudden, there's a big spike at the hospital.
Think about that, right? What about tornadoes? Oh my God, there'll be like a population of Oh, I don't even want to let my mind run now.
Oh no, no! Imagine a tornado in China.
Birth rate would be crazy.
What do you got?
Oh my goodness! So my article is obviously not nearly that funny now in hindsight, so I maybe should have led this one. But this article was Tennessee man arrested for forging Obama's name on a handgun permit.
Oh, I heard about this.
That's low. That is really low.
Yeah. So Robert Halleck of the Chattanooga, Tennessee, allegedly formed the former President Barack Obama's name on a handgun permit application. Halleck was arrested on Thursday, and according to the reporter, he was trying to get a handgun permit. However, he had a previous charge for perjury, forgery, identity theft, and already had his criminal records. So he decided that he was basically going to put in Obama's name, and he sent in a check with the letter and an official United States of America seal on the application.
Okay, that's nerve.
So he
that's nerve. That's a lot of nerve.
So went all out to stamp the envelope. And I mean, the fact is, he sent a $50 check. I mean, did he have checks made in Obama's name too, or because that just wouldn't balance out?
Okay, but here's the question about all of this: did they send him the handgun?
Probably.
No, he was.
Probably. I would not be like a bit surprised,
For Barack, we sent two.
So he was caught and charged. Of course, the moment that application came in, they brought it to the police's attention. So that was honestly a fun one from Chattanooga. So actually, the really funny thing is, I had been in Chattanooga once, and was it Chattanooga? Yeah, I thought it was one of those names that Bugs Bunny said. So when I was sitting in this town, I thought it was really weird. It was, yeah, I was waiting on a bus, and a bunch of police kind of came through the hedges and over the curbs and everything and stopped the bus. And it turned out there was a felon on the bus that was trying to jump down. So so that's my memory of that. Yeah.
What a lovely little heartwarming story about Chattanooga. heard of this. I love I think Tennessee's great. I've been to Memphis and Nashville, but I've never Chattanooga. I know what I'm thinking of. Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Yes, that's exactly why I was thinking of Chattanooga.
That's great.
All right, Maddie, what else you got?
Well, we missed Valentine's Day, so I decided to dig up a little piece of Valentine's Day news. So this one's pretty funny, actually. So cats will poop on the names of your exes at this animal shelter. So just in time for Valentine's Day there is a way now to quite literally crap on your ex-significant other. An animal shelter in Lexington, Kentucky is allowing people to get retribution for broken hearts by having the name of people's exes inscribed inside of litter boxes that are used by its cats. For $10 and a donation, financial donors of the Lexington Humane Society can get back at their former partners by having cats take a dump on their exes' names. Cats can be spiteful creatures, and trust us, they're more than happy to take a number 2 on your former number 1.
I love that. Okay, that's totally genius. You have to admit that. As a matter of fact, I think cat shelters and animal shelters all over the country should adopt that. Don't you?
Right?
I do. I think that is an amazing form of therapy or therapy for one person, donations for the animal shelters. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Hey, you guys, it's what I call a win-win.
Yeah, that is a win-win. I think it's hilarious. Like, imagine just sending somebody the photo of that too. Like, hey, thinking about you this Valentine's Day.
Oh my goodness, that's cute. That's both cute and productive. So I really like that one.
Cute and productive. I like that.
My next article is this was fun, Matt. You'll really appreciate this one. North Carolina firefighters dispatched a restaurant to discover it wasn't on fire. It was just making 10,000 wings.
Holy shit. Was it for Super Bowl? It had to be for Super Bowl.
It was.
Yeah,
it was
that's crazy.
And it was really funny because basically the firefighters had received a call from a motorist who had basically seen, and there's pictures of the building, it literally looks like it's on fire. There's so much smoke coming out of the roof, and the way the lights are bouncing off the building, it makes it look like it's burning. And so, of course, the firefighter was dispatched, or the whole team, and they came in, and when they basically came through the front door, everybody was calm and there was no problems, and they just said they were making this massive batch of wings. So, and then now, honestly, the photo was taken at night, and that's when this person was passing by. So, of course, you can't really tell the difference of smoke at night versus like regular burning smoke, and then that was kind of crazy fryer steam.
Crazy.
Yeah, but. And then in good humor, the owners of the place fed the fire team before they left. So that was really fun. So I really enjoyed that one.
Another win-win for everybody. I'm just thinking,
Right?
that's a massive amount of wings.
That
10,000 wings.
That is a
I can't
lot.
even imagine seeing 10,000 wings go out. And I used to work in the restaurant industry when I was young.
10 wings in a pound, roughly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait, you just did the math, Maddie. 10 wings is a pound, right?
Yeah. So it's 1,000 pounds of wings.
I can't believe you knew that. Are you a wing guy?
Yeah, I am a wing guy. That's why Tony said I like this one.
That's amazing.
That is a lot.
It is. I mean, I think if anything, I would have liked the photo of 10,000 pounds of wings all laid out on a table.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah.
Fun fact, actually, really they back in like, I don't know what decade it was, but they would throw chicken wings out. They were considered garbage food, right?
Yeah.
It's like the same with the lobster in the Maritimes back in a certain period, right? Where lobster was like a poor person's, and the same thing with chicken wings. And now you pay a luxury for chicken wings and lobster. So
because they're so popular. I have another math question for you, Maddie. How many chickens do you need for 10,000 wings?
Well, I mean, 2 wings per chicken, 5,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say multiply that by
No, I
3.
mean, they use who knows how many beaks and assholes you get in there too. I'd imagine it's
It's a complex problem.
Yeah.
How many animals does it take to make a hot dog? Now do the math on that.
Complex one, right?
Yeah, that's great. So, Wendy, this is the time where we get to turn around and we're going to talk about you now.
Oh, moi! I thought we'd never get there. No, just kidding.
Right.
I'm loving dishing the news with you guys. I'll never look at the news the same.
Yeah, and some of the things that we dig up, it's absolutely crazy. And honestly, with kind of Florida been so heavily affected by COVID, the news isn't nearly as funny as it comes out of Florida, and that was always a gold mine for us. And then now, yeah, things have been really quiet on the Florida front. Just regular crime, not funny crime.
Yeah. It's a funny crime in Florida that really keeps you on the edge, keeps you going, keeps you motivated, right?
Oh yeah,
it's true. It's true.
If there's meth in the title, it's from Florida usually.
A funny crime here in New York as well. You know, it's and lately, as you said, you know, with COVID going on and everything, the crime rate unfortunately has gone up in New York City. But you know, that's the way of it. Hopefully things will be better. Me personally, I couldn't live anywhere else. I am a New York girl. And if you know anything about me, I was born and raised in New York. I grew up in the Bronx. And I wrote a book about my life called She's the Last Model Standing. And it talks about how I got to where I am now. And believe me, there have been a gazillion steps along the way. And in many ways, it's come full circle. So my book opens up in Nigeria, where I went to school when I was in my 20s, because I went there to study about traditional religion, or what we often call voodoo, and study about Shango, the god of thunder. You guys know anything about traditional religions like that? Maddie, what about you? You look like
No, you know, it's funny. Like, well, my grandparents were like Catholic, so you know, I grew up in that kind of household. But I've always kept an open mind with religion. Like, voodoo interests me. Like, I've always wanted to go to New Orleans because I know that they have, you know, various different religion down there. So that's actually on my bucket list to go to New Orleans, and because I really want to learn about that type of stuff. So
right, it's so cool. Yes, they dance to their own drum in New Orleans, as they did when I was in Nigeria, as still happens with traditional religions. I was very fascinated by different cultures, and that ended up, fast forward, I said to you, everything comes full circle. My book opens up in Nigeria. Here we are X amount of years later, and now my husband and I make films in Africa about traditional people as well as endangered animals. And our most recent film done in Africa before all this craziness started was called Whispers and Witnesses, Primate Rescue in Cameroon. And we have been 6 feet away from gorillas. And
amazing.
He said it is totally amazing. And we were able to get that close because we were at rescue centers. These are animals that their parents were poached and killed, and they were found as babies and brought to these rescue centers to be raised by human being volunteers, local people. And when the chimp or the gorilla is about a year old, then they put them in families that are in these rescue centers, primate families. So I always love sharing this with people. You just can't take a year-old baby and put it with any old family, because it's like us. Not everybody, they're like, nah, we don't want that relative here.
Yeah.
We don't care who it is. Like, just is not a good fit, right? So they have to try, usually in these centers, there'll be like 6 different families in 4-acre enclosures. And I always explain that to people. 4 acres is a lot of room. Okay. But the babies are not being released back into the wild. They have to still be kept in a captive situation, because in many parts of Africa, you release an animal back into the wild, it'll only get shot and killed again and used for bushmeat, which is people in places like the Middle East find gorilla a delicacy, believe it or not. And they will pay a lot of money for it. So if somebody is desperate for money, they will think nothing of poaching a gorilla or a chimpanzee. Often in Asian countries, used for medicine. They use parts of the body for medicine. So when they find these babies that have lost their parents, they bring them into other primate families, which is really quite cool to watch. And that's what our film was about, as well as the amazing people in Cameroon and the women that are not from there that are helping to run these rescue centers. I like remote. I'm dying to go to Chattanooga, and I need to see a lot more of my own country, but I'm very much about going to really remote places in the world, especially with filmmaking, to tell the stories that nobody else is making. So the pandemic happens, right? We can't do the kinds of films that we really want to do. So right before the pandemic happened, we started on a film called Working Dogs, a Love Story. It was a film, and it is a film, not released yet, about rescue dogs and therapy dogs, which we all know. We know about in Canada, you have canine patrols, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very big here. Dogs that are trained to rescue people after earthquakes. Dogs that are trained to sniff out bombs, right? When we had 9/11, there were so many hero dogs. But my husband and I felt those dogs were never really given the, it would be a line in the paper that, Bowser found, the remains of somebody. What a great dog. But they never were given, we felt, the homage that they really deserved. So we decided to do a film about those dogs. And I met a lot of unbelievable people that had dogs that were actually personally helping them. People with PTSD had dogs to help them through that. You've all heard about that. But one of the coolest stories I have is about an amazing journalist here called Jonathan Fox, and he has a dog named Dharma. Jonathan has epilepsy. Dharma was gotten as a very young puppy because she was observed as having being able to smell. Dogs that have very strong scent can be trained to smell if you need to take your medication. If you're diabetic, right before you might go into insulin shock. Or in Jonathan's case, he has epilepsy. If he's it's unbelievable. If he's going to have a seizure, Dharma will start pouring on his arm to let him know, hey, it's time to take your meds. So we decided to do this film about them. And just when we thought we were getting things wrapped up, we get this pandemic. And suddenly in New York City, I'm out with my little dog, Nugget, a long-haired Chihuahua, and I'm in Central Park. And there's dogs everywhere, but puppies or really old dogs. And like, New Yorkers love their dogs, but now there's like a plethora of dogs everywhere you look. And I came back and I said to my husband, I'm realizing that this has emotionally affected people so much. They're getting dogs from shelters or they're getting puppies, but they have to have a dog. If it was 1 out of every 10 people before, you guys, I haven't done the survey myself, but it's got to be 1 out of every 2. It's insane. So we put a part of our film, we're calling it Pandemic Puppies, and we're just finishing up. But when you interview people and you find out how amazing these dogs are to help them mentally, these are people that, they didn't have any psychological challenge before or physical challenge. But now they are having a psychological challenge. And you think about this, we've been, gobsmacked by this pandemic. Nobody was ready for this. And when you think about it happening all over the world, people need comfort of some sort. So we do films that advocate, educate, and entertain. And that is part of the way we use the pandemic. But as you and I were talking earlier, Anthony, this pandemic for me was like a creative explosion. Let's see, they cut down, New York was shut down March 12th. And March 13th, I realized I'm a stand-up comedian. There's no stages. I'm an MC. There's no stages. I'm a model. There's no modeling bookings. I'm an actress. They've shut down every set. Oh, I can do theater. No, they've shut down all the theaters. So a gong goes off in my head that said, Wendy, absolutely every single thing that you do has come to a crashing halt, including your income. And the same thing that happened to a lot of my friends. So I'm in my kitchen. March 12th, they shut New York down. March 13th, I'm in my kitchen. And my husband and I are talking. I'm like, what are we going to do now? And I looked at him. I said, I'll start a cooking show. And he said to me, Wendy, you don't cook. Exactly. I'm in New York.
You'll never see it coming.
I dial for my dinner and I get it delivered. So that was the start of pandemic cooking. And now we are at 100 episodes later. And the show is called
Congratulations.
Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. And there were a lot of people when I initially did this, I did get comments like, there's nothing funny about the pandemic. You're exactly right. There isn't anything funny about the pandemic. As a matter of fact, it's tragic. But if you do stand-up comedy, the one thing you learn to do, you take a tragedy and you have to see the light side of it, because you know what? Then you'll get everybody to ride along with you. And that's what you want. You want them to come on the ride with you. If they're feeling bad, you want to make them feel better. And what could be better than someone that has no idea what the hell they're doing in the kitchen, trying to make these recipes? And it's not only the cooking part. I dish ex-gay husbands. I dish people I don't like. There's no holds barred with this because it's my show, right? I can stand there by myself. And that's the beauty of it. I can ramble on, like the way you guys read the news. You are much kinder than me. I could take something horrific out of our news here. And believe me, with politics in the last year, and because what did they say? We're like Canada's meth lab down here. Like, no,
I commonly refer to it as Canada's underpants. But yes.
Underpants, right? It was like one thing after the next. And it gave me an amazing opportunity to vent and for people to comment. But probably the best thing that came out of the show, I got to use everything I am. I got to use my comedy. I got to wear my wigs. I got to put my costumes on. I got to dish people that ever did me wrong, and no holds barred with that one. And I got to cook. I actually learned how to make things. And some of the coolest things about the show, I could make food from all over the world. And then I threw in characters. There's the flight attendant who I'm doing tomorrow night on a show, Pandemic Airways Pam. She's a flight attendant that'll take you anywhere you want to go. I have the whole outfit. The flight, it's like a cheesy flight attendant, like from the 60s outfit, where the skirt's too short, the top's too low. I got it at one of those party stores, a Halloween store. What could be better?
I was going to say it. That sounds like the adult Halloween store.
It is. I mean, how funny is that? And people will tune in and it makes them laugh. And I'm sure you guys know one of the first places to really get hit bad last March was New York City. They talked to us about this curve coming, and you couldn't, you could read the news, like you all read the news up in Canada, but you can't really wrap your head around it. What exactly did they mean by this curve? What I didn't know is that 22 of my group of 22, 18 of us would get COVID. We were sick a week after they said it was coming to New York. You didn't even have a fighting chance here. It was probably everywhere. 2 weeks before, I was riding on the subway, right? That's how we New Yorkers get around and get to work. 2 weeks before, my friends are comedians, they're musicians. I was in clubs supporting them. All right, maybe had somebody said, in like the middle of February, and had told you guys too, had told all of us. None of us were told anything. None of us were told, hey, you need a thermometer. You need an oximeter to read, the blood, oxygen blood level. You might want to get ready for this. And maybe the end of February, we should have had masks on. But we didn't know anything. I was tripping the light fantastic. So the middle of March, I find myself, I have COVID. And thank God I wasn't too sick. But you know what? The show had to go on. And I had already started this pandemic cooking thing. So I didn't say anything to anyone because, who could I be contagious to? I was in my own house and I put my wigs on. My daughter said she'll never forget me sitting in the corner of the couch with a pink wig on.
Yeah. I saw a couple of the pink wig episodes. So
right?
I loved it.
We've all got fevers. And she's like, you're going to do the show. I go, I have to. My audience expects it, right? You guys think the show to be on. You can't say, hey, I'm sick. The show's got to go on. So here we are. We're 100 episodes later. So did you all get to look at some of the episodes of it?
I did, yeah. I think it's cheeky and fun, and it's. I don't get why people get all butthurt over the pandemic. We're all in the same boat. You have to try to find humor in the situations that you're in. You know, it's the only way that a lot of us keep our sanity. You know, we're cooped up in the houses all the time. You mentioned everybody's getting dogs. Luckily, it's kind of a win-win for dogs right now, because a lot of folks are working from home, so they can actually care for a puppy, you know, and take care of them. So that's amazing. But yeah, I'm the type of person that always tries to find humor in everything. Just because it helps pass the time a little nicer, I guess. And so I like the show. I like the concept that you've done, and I find it quite enjoyable.
Cool. Thank you so much. I have heard initially I did hear from professional chef friends of mine that have been on some of those chef shows that you've seen. And I got things like, Wendy, this isn't cooking, or, you know, why did you call it pandemic cooking? Who's going to watch a show with the word pandemic in it? And to those people, I said, you guys, this is a comedy show. Okay. Yeah. Come on. Lighten up. You gotta be able to tell that. And I am not a chef. I can't compete with the people that can do that. My girlfriend Casey is a master chef. She can create amazing things. I am not that person, nor do I aspire to be that. But guess what? I can go on there and I can cook things that are interesting, that the ingredients don't cost you a fortune. And you'll end up with a dish when you're done, and you'll end up dishing with your friends when you're done. And what could be better, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you've done this yet, because I couldn't watch every episode, but it'd be hilarious if you
watch every episode. I appreciate it.
No, if you got like one of your like super well established chef friends to come on, and you guys should take the same recipe or something like that, and each of you do it. And then do a blind finish test. So you're in your chunk of the kitchen, they're in theirs, and then see what it looks like after, because you would not
see if they notice the difference in taste.
Yeah, you know.
That is, I have to tell you something. That is brilliant. I've cooked with other people, so they're helping me, or most of the time I'm helping them. I'm the helper. They come up with a recipe, but you're right. That's really, really great. And then we do a comparison at the end of it.
Yeah, and it would suck people in, because they want to know how the professional chefs turned out versus yours, who's obviously you're not a professional. So I think that'd be kind of funny.
Plus, it's a little fun, because it could be like put their money where their mouth is, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're saying that you're not a chef and you're not a cook, and you have them come in, and at the end, if it's a blind taste test and they can't tell the difference between their dish and your dish, that would be really funny.
Oh my God, how funny would that be, right? Well, that's it. Thank you for that. See, this is why I love doing shows like this. Look at what we just came up with.
That's right.
So probably around July of this summer, I was getting a lot of traction with Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. And the other side of me is I do a lot of humanitarian work wherever I can. And I helped start an LGBTQ in my weekend town in Pennsylvania, but we really do service the tri-state area. The organization is called Triversity. And our executive director had talked about, we need to get something up in terms of video to get people more engaged with us. And I don't know whose idea it was, but all of a sudden they talked about we should have a show. And I raised my hand and said, hey, I'm a host. Let's do it. And my executive director who's a lawyer, but he's a great singer, and he happens to be an entertainer. There's so many talented people out there that never use it, but they can do it. I'm like, let's do a show. And he came up with the name Triversity Talk. And that one we started in July. We've been broadcasting mostly every single week. And I bring on people, the beauty again of being able to podcast like this, I can bring on people from all over the country. And they all have topics that pertain not only to the LGBTQ world, but to the world of the fact, hey, folks, we're all people here. The fact that two gay dads adopt kids in foster care. And then the process of actually making the adoption, those kids becoming their own kids, the stories that I've heard from doing this. Nurses in the recovery rooms where people have transitioned. As a person, I look for the heart and soul of these stories. And that's been the beauty of that show. We have also had humor on it. I put on comedians, Ike Avelli, who does the show 50 Shades of Gay. I love that guy. He's been on.
Yep.
Jay McBride, who's a very well-known trans comedian. So we have everything on that show, which is really fun and really cool. And this Saturday night, we're doing a fundraiser, and it's called Triversity's Got Talent. And we've done this show every single year live. We get incredible talent. We'll have 10 people on, and our audience can vote. This is the first time we're doing the whole thing virtually. I don't quite understand the whole virtual voting thing, to be perfectly honest, and bringing people on and bringing them off. You know, we've got 10 contestants. We're going to be doing it on Zoom. It's very complicated, but we've done some similar things and people enjoy it. And why? It's like what you said earlier, Maddie, being isolated. That's why they want to get a dog. People are isolated. Triversity gave a holiday party, and there were people that came that we sent out a link on Zoom. I didn't know a lot of the people there, but we got comments like, I didn't realize how much I missed people.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And this is like a virtual holiday party. And I'm the party girl who goes to like 20 Christmas parties every year around the holiday. And I was feeling sorry for myself this year. I'm like, oh God, this really sucks. You know, everything's virtual. How many more virtual things? You know what? I learned to look at it in a different way when I saw how happy it made other people. And it's great. How amazing that we're able to do this, okay, that we have live streams and that we are able to reach out to people really in a way we never did it so big before. We've never done it on a grand scheme. So then right around November, I was aching to do another creative thing. This is what happens. I get these, they're like tsunamis. They come over me. They're like, I grit my teeth and it's like, I got to do something, right? Because I'm so used to, creating, performing, blah, 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 blah. So then in around November, I was at a friend's restaurant on the Lower East Side. And I don't know if you all know about the Lower East Side of New York City, but it's trendy, it's cool, it's where everybody wants to be. And my friends own this restaurant. It's called Pangea. And they have hosted there in their cabaret room. They've had Debbie Harry. They've had every major performer and cabaret people that are well known here that you might not have heard of. But the thing is, these two guys support the arts. And all of a sudden, they're told their restaurant has to be shut down. That's what happened here. They shut everything down. Well, I understand the reason for that, but there were no subsidies given, no grants given, nothing. Businesses were left to scramble. And I can tell you guys, there's more restaurants here that have gone out of business because of this. We wanted our friends
to really sad.
It's so sad, but we wanted them to hang on. So they started with outdoor dining. And I'm like, you know what would be a great idea? I'm like, I want to do a show on location from here. You have hosted like every major performer that's ever been in the news or any of the gossip rags, right? We'll call the show If These Walls Could Talk. And the other co-host that I'm with is Tim Moss, who's not only an incredible actor, he does red carpets like I do, but, he's just been all around the industry. He's interviewed a lot of celebrities. What could be better to do a show like that on location in Pangea? So that's where we are for most Wednesdays. On days when the weather is really terrible, we'll broadcast from our homes. But I like doing it from the location because I'm a big believer in karma and vibes. And I feel if our energy's there, it's raising the place up. It's bringing what I call good juju into it, right? And just getting the word out. So now we started that show. We thought of it in November. That started around, I think, the end of December. And what do I have there? I have like 8 or 9 shows. And the beauty of that is I have had on so many major music talents, like world-renowned music talent, like Scott Page from Floyd. We just had Kenny Aronson, world-renowned drummer. There's not one person I can't name that he hasn't played with, including Ringo Starr. I mean, every major. And it's perfect for this show, If These Walls Could Talk, because these are really not only seasoned professionals, but they have stories up the wazoo. And some of the coolest stories from them are how they've had to reinvent themselves because of the pandemic. Because keep in mind, these are majors. They're used to touring with everybody and anyone all over the world. Now they're just like the rest of us. They're, it's a great equalizer.
Yep.
What do I do?
It is.
So that's
It's I was going to say, it's true. We've had Scott Page on the show as well, and he is just so brilliant. And he is one of those artists that has just really moved with everything and has rolled with COVID and has made a lot of really good decisions, business decisions. So it's nice to see a lot of other people out there who are looking, they're kind of forward moving, even though all this time has passed, just like yourself. You're just like, how am I going to continue to do what I love, make money, profit in some possible way, right? Yeah.
But Anthony, you just said it. These people are such an inspiration. I mean, Kenny Aronson, had, like Scott, like Leland, had all of these tours planned. Boom, everything's in a crashing halt. And these guys are all in LA where, my God, they're shut down there for weeks, right? Because their numbers were so high.
Exactly.
They've built studios in their homes. Okay. Scott Page started a company. What is it called again? It's X. What is it? Think X. It's concerts where you, the audience, are brought in on monitors, right? You can bring hundreds of people on monitors, and Scott and the band, they're all staged away from each other, right? They're 20 feet apart. They can play their music. They've got audio guys all around, but again, everyone's being safe. And we, the audience, of course, are safe because we're brought in on these monitors. I did one of these experimental concerts with him. I was completely blown away. I mean, this is what the pandemic is forcing people to do. You really have to think out of the box. And then, of course, it's the beauty of podcasting. Look at all three of us. We're here today. Nobody's getting exposed to anything. Nobody has to get their nose swabbed after.
I was going to say, give it a couple seconds. Matt is known to expose, so.
It's all good. You can't ask for anything better. But with my shows, what I try and do is inspire people that not only do we need to get to the other side of this, and we will. And you know what? I'm not about this new normal. I really, really don't like that phase. What the heck does that mean? The new normal. You know what, folks? What happened in the world, and we have to say it, in the world, was totally tragic. And guess what? All of us in the world are going to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and we are going to move forward. And platforms like this, we will explode and move from. And then some of the old things that were wonderful, we'll have those as well. But in the end, we want to be, what was it? The Bionic Woman. We want to be stronger, bigger,
faster, stronger. Yeah.
Right. All of it.
So it's true. It's true. Now, one of the things I wanted to touch base on is the fact that, you're saying with everything that's going on, like, comedy is truly something that is getting a lot of people through these tough times. Now, I wanted to kind of expand on that before we get into some quick questions with you. I know I did a little digging into your past, and I remember I remember hearing that you when you first started off and everything, you would go out and you'd get the gossip magazine so that you had things to say to a lot of these people when you go into new parties and mingling into the new community when you're first starting off in modeling and both acting and modeling.
Anthony, you really hit the nail on the head with that one, because I would use it, right, for conversation. But look at where I am now, right? I go on people's shows, or I'm hosting a show, and I've got to be able to take that person in front of me and when you're hosting, you have to bring out, right, what is the coolest thing about them. I'm doing exactly what I was doing when I was 21 years old and would buy People magazine, so I would have something to talk about. Because when you're first starting out in the entertainment business and you're in your 20s, come on, you're not that interesting. You're 20 years old. You haven't lived. Right. And you don't have all those crazy. I've had so many crazy life experiences that are in my book, She's the Last Model Standing. But, in your 20s, you don't have that. So what are you going to do? You have to take other people's experiences. And it really makes for great conversation to be able to talk about a movie, to be able to talk about, celebrities and and all of that. It's really interesting. You're going to love this story, and there's no way you could know this, either one of you, but I did host home shopping, and it was for the show was called Viewpoints from Spiegel, and I didn't get like celebrities on that show. They gave me buyers, like Spiegel buyers. Okay, these are just regular people, and because the job at the time was what we call a non-union job, I would be on at like 11 o'clock at night, and they'd be setting everything up. And then we'd first start taping at 12 o'clock in the morning. So not for nothing. By midnight, okay, when I didn't have an ounce of anything left in me, I was given a dead guest. Okay, and someone that had to be like propped up that really didn't have anything to say. So you learn, right? You better get that gift of gab really quick. And being at a cocktail party, you break the ice with something that you read, and then you get the response of the other person, and then you can start to dig deep. My thing is, people trust me; they just do. All right, I'm funny. Funny really helps, and I'm perfectly suited for what I'm doing now because I'm truly interested. Like you guys, I'm like truly interested. Look at, here we all are. It doesn't get any cooler than this. Finding out about people, what could be better? It's like the best thing in the world. People continually fascinate me. I make films in foreign places where I'm about as different. We did a film called Fragile Beauty that had to do with tribal people in the Southern Omo Valley in Ethiopia. Other than reading about these people, I knew nothing about, how they lived. I just read as much as I could. I had seen pictures of them. They were dressing the way they had for hundreds of years. They didn't even use currency for things. They paid for things with cattle. Wow. Those were people I really wanted to know about. And I didn't go down there with the idea that, oh my God, the people with the clay plates in their mouth. Oh gosh, that's like, I don't know. I even had people look at our pictures and go, gee, how could you stand that? Well, stand what? This is a whole other culture. And what I learned, human beings are human beings at the end of the day. We are all alike. We're mothers, we're fathers. We want the best for our families, right? We want to live our dreams. Those people may have different dreams than you or me. Maybe being a successful cattle farmer is their dream, okay? And that their children do well and have more children. We all have dreams as human beings. So I have insatiable curiosity, and that's where it all comes from. And it started with People magazine.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So having said that, I would like to briefly play a game here with you. And this is something we haven't done before. So this is you're going to bear. Even Matt hasn't seen this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen. And I've got a few gossip magazine headlines. And what I'd like you to do is take a quick peek at them and tell me, what would you use as an opening top line? So if you were going to look at this and say, just based on the cover of the magazine, okay, how are you going to break the ice with someone? All right, so let me share this, and hopefully all goes well, and we will wait for that to connect.
Oh my God.
And let me know when you can. All right. Can we see this one?
Not yet.
It doesn't come through yet.
No.
Not yet. Yeah. I can't see it either.
Do you guys have it? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Here we go. There it is.
Okay. You want me to start
at home with I'm just going to read it here so our listeners can see or hear this after the fact. So the article says, at home with new mom Cameron. So it's Cameron Diaz, and it says, meet my baby girl. Planning for baby number 2 already. All right. So what's your ice break with that?
So I want to know who the father is. Cameron is having a second visit with the same person. This is how rumors get started. Oh my God, it's more than meeting my baby girl, planning for baby number 2 already. Who is she having that baby with? And what was so great about the experience with the first baby? I mean, wow, this girl is an actor who makes up money on the way she looks. If she's going to be preggers again, she's going to have to be turning down film roles. I think this is something we have to look into.
All right.
That's good.
So here's cover number 2.
Pregnant.
So the cover is
Oh.
yes. So pregnant Kate twins.
I'm seeing a trend here, Tony. Are you pregnant?
No. These are just some relatively recent articles I grabbed.
Well, and the most important thing, pregnant Kate twins. The palace confirms. Okay, here we go again. My goodness, isn't it just grand not to worry about having to put all these kids through college? Didn't she just have kids? Doesn't anybody give themselves a rest anymore? Is the sky the limit? You know what I'm saying? I think she just had kids. I tell you where my eye is going with this. That to the right of her, it says shocking hookup. I want to know about that hookup.
People just want to know about Rhiannon and Chris Martin. Nobody cares about Kate now.
Love it.
All right, here is article number 3. It says, Brad humiliates Angelina. Of course, as his wedding approaches.
Not over Brad and Angelina already. I mean, okay, you guys, this was the ugliest divorce ever. Do you know what I'm saying? And they've got kids from hither, dither, and yonder. Everyone else is getting pregnant. They've got this huge family already. They can't stand each other. She, I think at one point, wanted to bring him into court on child abuse. It's ugly, 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 ugly. We've had enough. Okay, Angelina and Brad, go off, do into the sunset, do your thing. Oh, wait, here's another one. There's a divorce blow up thing in the corner from Tori Spelling. Oh, God, I love that one.
Tori Spelling. I love how it's Brad and Angelina. You need to go away now. Tori Spelling, holy crap.
Holy crap, Tori Spelling. I've always been fascinated with Tori Spelling. I never quite got it, you know?
Yeah. All right, here is the fourth article.
Ooh. Okay.
This is an article from Shatta Magazine. God got me pregnant. You won't believe me.
First, let's just talk about the title of this magazine. At least they have the balls to say it's chat, right? I like that, right? Because we know all these other gossip magazines really are. So at least this, you go in to your local store and you ask for your copy of Shat, you know what you're getting, right? The headline on this totally makes sense to me after the story that Maddie told us about the woman getting pregnant from the wind. Okay, this makes sense. God got this woman pregnant. Yeah, I'm buying it. It's totally
right.
Can happen
at a party.
When Matt's article came up, all I could think of was the cover of this magazine, and I didn't want to ruin the surprise.
Oh my God. Actually, Maddie, your article should have been in this magazine. The blog.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep thinking of that song, "The Answer, My Friend, is Blowing in the Wind."
The police do the sketch up, and it's God.
Right.
It's a tornado with eyes.
This is a fun game. I had a good time with this game. Am I going to win something?
I know, we were just totally curious on how you would react to these gossip magazines and how you would use them to your advantage.
But there you go. It is interesting. The headlines were really cool, but I love like a lot of the real juice was in the upper right hand corner. I'm like, oh, you can.
That's right.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, what you've won is
All right, so
20 quick questions. We call this segment the slightly slower than average rapid fire questions.
Oh boy.
So I'm going to ask you a series of questions and you're going to answer to the best of your ability. If you don't know or don't want to answer, just say pass.
Okay.
And this is to help our audience get to know you a little bit better. So
okay, I'm going to have to really focus. Let me just clear my head. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. What made-up word would you register into the English language?
How?
How?
Yeah, a native word, right? So,
oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I said made-up word.
Oh, so well. What made-up word would I register into the English language? Ashkabibble.
We haven't had that one.
Do you have a definition?
Yeah, ashkabibble means I'm famished. I'm like, my head is all scrambled. I'm like feeling totally ashkabibbled today. I'm out of sorts. I'm not quite with it. I'm confused.
I like it.
Look
All
at
right, that's good. I like that
Very
one.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm ready for your next one.
What is the scariest dream that you can remember?
Oh my goodness, I went to hell, not even in a handbasket. I actually remember being sucked down in like a pile of mud into a cave, and there were fires everywhere. Now, if that's not hell, I don't know what is. Because I remember saying to myself, "You got to wake up! You got to wake up! You got to wake up!" And I woke up, and my heart was going boom, 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 boom.
Sounds like you might have just been in LA.
Too soon, Matt.
What if you could pick a superpower? Which would you pick?
Wonder Woman.
Nice. What is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory was being taken into the ocean in Jamaica. My father teaching me how to swim. This is true story. 2.5 years old. And I was very afraid of the ocean. I remember he let go of me. And I was terrified. I didn't learn to swim till I was 10 years old.
I learned very similarly, not gonna lie.
You don't just think a kid.
I'm a little afraid of the ocean too. Like I don't like going into the ocean because I don't like what's in there, you know, like it's beautiful, it's warm. And yet I when I'm out there swimming, I all of a sudden remember like, whoa, there's sharks out here. Like I'm out.
Wow, Anthony, that's like heavy. I feel that way in lakes. Lakes are mucky, but like the ocean is cool stuff down there.
True.
Yeah. Things that can eat you. Yes.
See, I don't like fresh water because you can't see that far down. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I actually remember being a couple of years ago, we were in Florida, and my wife was like walking out in the water, and she turned around, she waves, and I'm waving my arms because a whale went behind her. Like where she like, and everybody was pointing and stuff, and she didn't even see it. So when she came back and I told her, she thought I was like full of crap, and then all the people on the beach were talking about it.
But that's an amazing experience. I've never had that happen. That's incredible.
Yeah. So that, and it also reminded me that there's big things out there that can eat you. So.
But I'm telling you, no, that whale was like living his best whale life. He's not coming after you. Don't even
totally.
It's true.
What activity makes you the happiest?
I love skiing. Skiing is really great. It's invigorating. I love being outdoors. I love seeing animals in the trees when I'm outdoors. It's not about being the best skier. I'm not a person that'll take those black trails. Maybe I'll take a blue trail. For me, there's nothing like a nice green trail in a place like Utah or Canada, where you can just enjoy nature and be outside and get a good workout. It's invigorating for me.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's good.
Good answer.
Yeah,
what foreign language would you most like to learn?
So I learned a little bit of Yoruba in Nigeria, and I would like to continue with that. I really would love to be able to speak that. Many of the African languages, because there's so many dialects, they're musical languages. And by that, I mean, like I'll give you, for instance, Odabo, that means hello or goodbye, right? In Yoruba. But what I love is the sound of it. It's a little melodic. And if you listen to when they play talking drums, the sound of the drum, bum, 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 bum. And that is the coolest thing, right? That an instrument can imitate a intonation in a person's voice, or a person's voice can imitate an instrument.
Yeah, that is really cool. Actually.
very neat. That's really cool.
If you could relive a decade, which would you choose?
The late 1800s. And I can't even give you an answer why, but if you saw any of the places I live in, I love old stuff. I love antiques from the late 1800s, beautiful styles of furniture, Victorian. I feel comfortable when I have that stuff around me. Modern things around me don't make me feel comfortable. It's like if I'm in a room, it can be beautifully done. I don't know where to put myself if it's got all those clean lines and everything. The old things make me feel comfortable. I don't know why. I'm an old soul. That's why. There you go.
Hey, fun fact,
Right.
in the year 1812, Canada won the only war that we had with America. They actually don't teach this in America, but Canadians actually burned down the White House.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. True story.
Yeah.
They teach it in Canadian history, but they do not teach it in American history. So,
Maddie, are you sure this isn't fake news?
no, trust me. Google it after. It'll blow your mind. 1812.
The War of 1812.
Yep.
Okay.
So, do you believe in aliens?
Oh gosh, now if you've watched me on any, I'm like, all right, I'm big about that. Now listen, the mothership never came down and got me. I've never been experimented on or anything, but I do, because there's been all these things out there. They have cited things, and if you travel to places like Peru, they're the lines of Nazca. You can't see them when you're on the ground, but you can fly over them, and they are clearly defined by shapes of people that didn't exist. And they have no way of being able to figure that out, nor do they with places like Stonehenge or Easter Island. So yes, I totally believe that there's aliens out there. Now there's people there was a book called Aliens Amongst Us or something like that, where there were certain physical characteristics. If you were missing like a rib, or they had all these characteristics. I don't know that I believe that. I don't know that they're amongst us, but yeah. And most recently, even there's been stuff up in the sky that we don't know what it is. We really don't. Oh my gosh, I was in a lecture the other night online from the Explorers Club, which is completely legitimate, filled with scientists, and people did ask questions about that. And there was a guy on that had traveled to space that said there are things that are just unanswered. So you know what? If none of us can answer them, then you have to open up your mind to the possibility that they may be out there.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
How would you spend $100 million right now?
Oh, I have a million ways. I think about that all the time. I need to start buying lotto tickets again, Maddie. Thank you for reminding me. I would take the $100 million, and the first thing I would do is take just a small portion to be able to do my thing, run my production company, make films that I wanted to make with my money so I didn't have to get it from other people, run shows that I wanted to show without sponsors, to be able to fund my own thing. And ironically, once you're able to do that, then the other things really do come into place, but only a small portion, because what I would do with the rest of it, there's so many people hurting in the world right now. And I have made films for a lot of these non-for-profits. You know, the rescue center with 64 chimpanzees, to run that is $200,000 a year, right? That is nothing to take care, right? We have people, my God, apartments in New York City, like a stumpy studio in these new buildings start at $2 million. What is wrong with people's perspectives on things? There are people that have buco bucks, endless amounts of money. People like Bill Gates do tons of stuff with their money. Do you know that Dolly Parton funded the Moderna, a lot of the vaccine that's out there? She personally funded it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I want to spread that news. And if I had that kind of money, I would be the person to do that. I would do big philanthropy, but also little philanthropy. Families that you can touch. There's people right now, you're hearing about what's going on in Texas, that, you know, they don't have, we're in the United States, we don't have food, water, and there's no power. Come on, folks. There is no reason for this. Also, with kids with higher education, there are a lot of kids that would be eligible for colleges, but down here, not where you are, but down here, schools are $60,000 a year. Okay, people cannot afford that. Cheaper colleges are $12,000-$15,000 a year. Wouldn't it be great to take some of that money and be able to help individual families? I have all kinds of places I could spend this money. Rescue centers, adoptions for animals, the shelters. People have this kind of money, Maddie. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not unheard of. Let's take it and spread it around. All right. That's who I am.
Yeah.
It's a great answer.
Wonderful.
It's a great answer.
That's good. Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
People that don't tell the truth. And I become obsessed with it. It's like unforgivable. You know, people say, oh, you need to forgive so-and-so because that's just who they are, move on or whatever. My pet peeve is when people lie to me and don't tell the truth to me and then don't own it. I really don't want anything to do with you because it speaks volumes about your honor. It speaks volumes about your integrity. And it says who you are. And I don't mean like what they call a little white lie.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people that try and manipulate other people. We've all met them in our life, or we've all met the person that's trying to manipulate you, and you know it because you're talking to them and their eyes are shifting to the left, they're shifting to the right, they're up, they're down, they're everywhere but looking into your eyes. I have an unbelievable truth sense. That is both good and bad. I can tell when people are giving me, you know, they're saying one thing to my face and I can get in their head and think, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. No,
I'm doing so good at this. I'm not good.
What is the last thing that you did just for yourself?
Oh, you see, that is, oh God, now we're getting all psychological here, Maddie and Anthony, because you know what? I had to just really think, you know, my God, I am at a loss for words. I'm about to say, I spend a lot of time doing things for my family. You know, I didn't get my second Moderna shot today. I tried, I have an appointment next week, but I took my husband and tried to get them to let me get mine today. And they weren't doing it. They weren't buying it, but I made sure he got in, and the line was probably 3 hours, and he's got heart issues. There was no way I was going to have him wait on that line. I spoke to 3 different monitors, and I wasn't keeping him outside in the snow waiting. They took him into a room, and literally within 10 minutes later, he got his shot. I didn't know. I guess, you know, when I'm doing for other people, it's very gratifying for me, not just because he's my husband, but I like to be able to do stuff for other people. But you just, you know what? You just put a glaring light on me today that I have to do more for myself and not feel like it's okay.
That's why we ask that question.
Take care of yourself, Wendy.
It's amazing when people don't realize, like, holy shit, you know, I haven't stopped for a second. Yeah.
Right? You guys are talking about self-love here. Look what's come up. It's like we have to love ourselves. Do you find yourself that you have to remind yourself, I have to love myself more?
Yeah, I used to, before the pandemic, I used to meditate quite often. And I find that that's really good for mental health and just self-reflecting. And I know it sounds campy and cliche, but to be honest, I find meditation is really good for the soul, so to speak. And I haven't done that since the pandemic hit. I don't know. It's not like I don't have the time. It's just, I guess you just don't think about it or something. But anyways, I want to get back to doing that.
To me, because during the pandemic, I did Deepak Chopra's 12 Days to Meditation, the whole course. And where you're writing in the notebook, you're meditating and you're writing. It's 2 hours a day. I did that during the pandemic. So that's interesting. You meditated before, but stopped during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I needed to do something. I needed something that I could just grasp onto that was bigger, right, than all of this that was going out there that would make it okay for me. I needed for it to be okay.
Yeah. I cling to, it's funny, I cling to more social things now where you take for granted, like, you know, your friends invite you out and you're like, yeah, you know, my wife and I are in the middle of this Netflix show. Like, you make up an excuse, you blow them off. Everybody does it. It's not just, you know, and, but now it's like, I find like my wife's like, hey, I'm going to the store to pick up milk. I'm like, can I come? I'm like a Labrador now, right? So, yeah, I'm like, car ride, you know?
Yeah.
So that's interesting as well, because I can honestly say I had COVID in the middle of March. It took like 8 or 9 days till I felt better. Lost my smell and taste for 8 months, if you can believe it. Just came back around 2 months ago. Right, without smell or taste that long. So that's what happened to me from that.
That's crazy.
But the other thing that happened to me, I'm a social animal. If you read about me or whatever, I'm in clubs, parties, blah, blah, blah. I knew I had to be careful now. I knew I had to be safe, but I was not going to stop doing that. And you can look at my Facebook page. I've had pods of people that I've been with from the end of March. and friends in Pennsylvania, friends here. It's a select group made up of people that have had COVID, healthcare workers, all right, who have to be out there, and other people that are kind of like essential workers. So they've had to go out all the time. Like me, I'm auditioning again, and I have modeling clients that I'm going to. I can't sit home. Would be great if I had this desk job, right, that paid me $100,000 a year to work from home, but I don't have that. I have to be out there. So with that being said, when they had only outdoor dining in New York, man, I sat out there and froze dining outside with friends under heat lamps. We're still doing it now, all right, because it's ventilated if you're outside, but I'm a social animal. I will do anything. Valentine's Day, I put together, it was a small group this time. It was 6 people. You know, sometimes it's 10 people, never more than 10, because we have all of these rules, and I do follow the rules. But you know what? I'm going to go out with my mask on. I'm going to sit and eat with my friends. I'm going to drink with my friends. We're not going to be on top of each other. We will be at the same table. But there are people that have looked at my Facebook page and they're like, oh my God, you know, you're breaking the rules. No, I'm doing what is okay for me. And I am being careful. I am being safe. I run around New York with 2 masks on. I had a modeling job earlier today. I show up with, 2 masks on, and until they're ready to actually shoot anything, the masks stay on. But yeah, when I'm working, it comes off. So all these people that have rules for everybody else, they really need to just worry about themselves.
Yep. Yeah.
It's true.
It is. It's follow the rules, do the right thing. But I have to admit that, the facts are the facts. COVID is more impactful to people with pre-existing conditions and the elderly. But I think that this affects staying at home all the time affects everybody's mental health. Right. The kids, it doesn't matter how old you are. So, we have to be realistic, and this is not an opinion. These are just the math on the situation. And we've never faced an issue like this where everybody has to be cooped up all the time. So are the effects of the mental health coming out of this going to be greater, long-term than the effects of how long we have COVID? Who knows, right? But we have to try to do things. We are social creatures. We're not designed to.
Thank you.
So, I get it.
Unless you may, you may be compromised. I have a friend she's got autoimmune problems. Mm-hmm. She won't be able to get the vaccine, and she's been in her house, all right, or outside of her house in her yard, and that's going to be it till more of us get vaccinated and less people, and they start to tone this down. But if, like you said, if you're used to being out there and everything, I'm careful, I'm safe, I'm following the guidelines. Okay, but I am not going to stop living. And if I'm seen on Facebook eating at a table full of friends, I have to believe that in that 40-minute meal, the COVID's not going to jump on me and jump into me and get me sick again. I know we need these guidelines, all right, but people in many ways, they just don't know what to do, Maddie and Anthony. You're still getting all this conflicted stuff. Real quick, I got to tell you this because I got to get this off my chest. Sephora is a big makeup store in the country, right? My daughter and I go to a populated area a few blocks from here, 86th Street. There's a big Sephora there, and I had a gift card there from last year I wanted to use. So my daughter's with me. We have our masks on. I look in the store. There's people shopping in there, but they have to limit the amount of people. But what I noticed was all the young women working in there with their masks on, but they're all in there working, right? Probably an 8-hour shift. And yet on the door, there's a sign, we do curbside. So what has this turned into? Is this an elitist thing where those young women in the store, because they need that money, right? They have to show up for their 8-hour shift, with masks on, where they're exposed to whatever, but customers can put their order in online and pick it up curbside. I have a lot of issues with all of this stuff because it's inconsistent. What are they saying with the people that are working there in the store? Or like you said, the supermarket, my supermarket. All right. When I go up to the cashier, they've got that plexiglass. I'm not even so sure about that comes up to here, the low one. Prove to me that it's not going to fly over the top. I could understand if it's like,
into your tear ducts.
Right? I don't understand how something that's level with my nose proved to me that COVID can't fly over that, and that cashier is literally 2 feet from me. And she's there all day. And it's not just me, it's everyone. There have just been so many inconsistencies. And again,
Well,
I remember I went to a drive-through, and that plexiglass shield, when this first started and they put that plexiglass shield up, there was a gap of about 8 inches underneath it. Now, I understood the purpose was so that they can hand money to and from, but when you're in drive-through, everybody's sitting at 8 inches below, so your mouth is practically right there. And I had to say something to the woman. Yeah, I had to say, like, hey, you think that maybe this thing was a little too high? And she looks at it, and she looks at me, and then I'm like, my mouth's right here. And she's like, oh, and Joel's back. And then within a week, that thing had completely come down.
It did.
So here's a funny, interesting concept that I thought about a few weeks ago, and I'll share it with you guys because it kind of directly relates to this. But the way that COVID's been handled from a leadership perspective shows the one glaring issue with democracy, and that's that different regions have different leadership and different opinions. So you look at a socialist country like China. How quickly did they eradicate the virus? Very quickly, because it's one rule, right? You have one communication going out to every single person. Where here in Canada, we're split up by province, right? You guys are split up by your states, your governors, right? So the message in Ontario is different from the message in Quebec, different from the message in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, et cetera, just like New York is different from LA. So that is the one glaring issue, I think, with a democratic society. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing it. I'd rather be in that situation than any other. But that's the one issue with democracy, is that there's so many varying opinions. When you have one thing that affects everybody, it's impossible to have one message.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, but then think about what you just said, right? If you go to Africa, you have to have a yellow fever shot, no matter who you are or what country you come from or what province you come from. So that was etched in stone. You can't get into Africa without a yellow fever shot in a lot of the areas there. You have to have it. So let's take this, for instance. To your point, right? Everyone's calling their own shots by the province or the state or whatever. If we were to have one thing, all right, it would be world leaders, I think, getting together and addressing it, right? So, and how it's affecting their countries and coming up with something that we have not had from the beginning, which is a protocol. Yeah. Okay. The Center for Disease Control, nobody seems to remember this. I remember this. 3rd weekend, I'm getting over COVID. All of a sudden, they put this mandate out. You don't need masks if you're a healthcare worker. I didn't invent this. I remember them saying that. A friend of mine who took care of people, the COVID patients in a nursing home, Bill calls me up and he said, hey, did you hear we don't need masks? I'm like, what do you mean we don't need masks? The CDC said we don't need them, that people that are working in healthcare, they said this. 2 weeks later, they turned it around. But you have to say to yourself, they put that out there, and in 2 weeks, places like where my friend Bill worked were telling the healthcare workers, no, you don't need a mask. How many people got sick from that? You know what, guys? We cannot afford to make these kind of mistakes anymore. There's got to be a protocol put in place. And right now, we're all working on getting out of COVID, right? Getting vaccines, getting normalized or whatever. But I have said this to many people. I know a lot of scientists, all right? There's pandemics pulling up the rear. It is inevitable. What are we putting in place? What are we putting in place for it in the world? All right, in the world.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, think about this. And Bill Gates said this actually a long time ago. I watched the whole speech that he did around it. But we have protocols if we were ever go to nuclear war. We have protocols if we ever run out of oil. We have protocols if there's a mass rebellion or a civil war, but we don't have protocol for the one thing that can wipe us out the quickest.
Thank you.
makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Today, this is another cool story, and it just happened today. We have in these areas where we're going to get vaccinated. This was a big high school. The lovely nurse, we have lots of retired nurses now doing the vaccines. I said to her, how did you get into this? She said, well, she said, honest to God, she said, we were all trained in the in early 2000s. We were being trained against something like this. I said, wait, they told you about a pandemic? She said they did not talk about COVID. It was for bioterrorism. And there were groups of us nurses that were trained in how to, quickly vaccinate and they had a whole protocol and everything ready from early 2000, but had nothing to do with this pandemic. So now that this happened, and now that we've got to get as many people vaccinated as possible, they're calling in those nurses. I couldn't believe that when I heard that. All right.
Yeah.
They were doing bioterrorism, and you're right. But now, they knew pandemics were going to happen. This didn't drop down from the sky. Yeah, we all got to be better prepared. See, I always think it's better in Canada than it is here. I always think you all are more together up there. Because we're
it all depends on, you guys have your Democrats, your Republicans, we have our liberals, our conservatives, which are the same difference, and our leadership is run at a provincial level. We have a leading party for the whole country, but most things like healthcare are split up by it's done by province, right? So. The rules are different in every province right now for us. So we're facing the same things you guys are.
It's crazy. All of those rules need to go out the window, okay? There is a group called One World Health. They've been part of the group that went to Wuhan to investigate what happened there, because that's another thing. None of us really know what happened. And it should be One World Health. We're all going through this now, and it's got nothing to do with this one for that party or that one for another party. We're all subject to getting this thing, all right?
Yeah.
As human beings, it just ends there. Take your politics and throw them the heck out the window.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're lucky. When people don't realize how lucky we are, and everybody's concerned. Oh, the vaccine came out super fast. How's that possible? Well, we had a smaller outbreak. You guys, 10 years ago, we had the SARS virus,
We did.
and which is an acute respiratory disease.
Right.
And so we had a lot of the research in preventative healthcare and vaccines done when that hit. So they actually used that data to develop the COVID vaccines, right? That's how it was so fast.
That's what I read. But there's still, I have a number of friends that are like, well, you go first. You're like, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's I don't know. It's interesting stuff. But I have one last question for you today.
Oh my God,
out of these list of questions.
Okay.
And here it goes. What is your favorite podcast that you've been on in the last 12 hours?
My favorite podcast that I've been on in the last 12 hours, oddly enough, this is funny. The last 12 hours, I was on the Mike Wagner show, and he's almost near Canada. He's in Duluth, I believe, North Dakota or South Dakota. I got my Dakotas mixed up, but all I know is I was complaining about being 17 degrees in New York, and Mike Wagner told me it was minus 17 there. Yes. But I was like, at least you have moose. I love moose. You guys have moose where you are.
We do.
You don't have moose.
It's true.
It's my favorite. You're going to ask me, is my bonus question, what's your favorite animal? Moose.
Hey, we'll take the win based on moose. I'm happy with that.
Yep.
There we go.
Excellent. Well, Wendy, as we're going to wrap up today, I want to give you an opportunity again to let our our listeners / viewers know where they can potentially get your book. Also, how they can listen to your shows, and we'll
I'm ready for it. So my book is called She's the Last Model Standing, and you can get it on Amazon. Then my YouTube channel has my shows on it, which are Pandemic Cooking with Wendy, Triversity Talk, and If These Walls Could Talk, plus other podcasts I've been on that are all kinds of fun, and theatrical performances and some film. And that is on YouTube. It is Wendy Stuart TV. And so to keep everything the same, my website is www.wendystuart, Stuart TV. On Facebook, I'm under Wendy Stuart. My films are under Visual Journeys or Stories. My Instagram is named after my book, She's the Last Model Standing. And on Twitter, which I am not on much because I'm overwhelmed with social media, my Twitter is She's the Last Model Standing, Wendy Stuart. Okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And for all our listeners, of course, who are listening to this episode after the live taping, we'll make sure that we post up a picture of Wendy on our guest section, as well as all the links to that she has just mentioned. So you can reach out to her if you'd like.
Links. We want the links.
That's right. Wonderful. Well, again, Wendy, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We've had a wonderful time.
Thank you so much. Really great being here with you guys. Everybody stay well, be safe. This will all be behind us. Onward and upward.
Take care.
Excellent. Take care. We'll chat soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.